All right, giving all glory and praise unto the Lord Yahawashi. I had to delete some shit. So, reading on. We was in Romans 12 and verse 2. Reading that last part again in verse 2, it says, renewing your mind. So we're in a renewing spirit of mind. Okay, we're not doing the stuff that we were doing outside of the truth before we knew about the truth. We're not eating pork. We're not going to the barbershop, always being in the barbershop and shit. Damn, goddamn bug on my shit. Hell no. But we're not always in the barbershop. We're out here, we're teaching the word. We're out here, we're warning our people. Okay, we're going into particular histories. We're going into the scriptures. We're praying. We're fasting. You know what I'm saying? Basically, ultimately, man, we're staying upon Yahawashi. Okay, and we're not staying upon Egypt. We're not staying upon our captivity. Ultimately, you know what I'm saying? Because this place that we live in, contrary to popular belief, it is going to get hit with missiles, man. It is going to be destroyed by Yahawashi. Now, I'm doing my thing, but we got this cop over here. He over here, you know, he over here parked. I don't know what the fuck he doing. He over here chilling. He been sitting there for a cool little minute. He hopped out the car, right, and he was checking his equipment and shit, like opening the trunk and opening the side door and shit. But he ain't pulled off yet, so I don't know if he over here watching me or what. But see, that's the thing about being a spectacle unto all men. I mean, bitch, you can watch me on YouTube. I don't give a fuck. Ultimately, I'm just reading the scriptures, but I see you. You know, if you see this video, I see you, but you ain't gonna see this video because the fuck. But if you did, hey, nigga, hey, you know, your society's falling and you're finna go into slavery. I'm sorry. I'm not really sorry, but I'm gonna say I'm sorry in a small attempt to feel pity, you know, because it sucks for you, but it rocks for us, because when we were going through what we were going through, nobody gave a fuck about us, you know. So that's a part of renewing our minds. We're renewing our minds unto the many enemies that we have. Okay, so let's get a little bit of that since we're going to enemies. We can go to Psalms 83 because it gives us it gives us a good indicator of who our enemies is. But at this point, there's nothing over here for real. So he's solely, you know, through the spirit just watching me, which is fine. You know, you can watch me on YouTube, baby, but we ain't gonna let that stop the word. You know, they really can't do nothing. This is it's really the Lord's program at the end of the day. So this is Psalms 83 and verse, I'm gonna start at the top, might as well, right? It says, keep not silent, O power, and hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. It says, follow thine enemies. Okay, we got enemies, man. We got people that hate this truth, man. We got people, heathens, and then we got people of our own nation that hate this truth and that hate Yahawashi and that hate, you know, what the Lord represents and what the Lord stands for. Okay, you know, ultimately they hate the men of the Lord. All right, they don't even understand that we are the men of the Lord. You know, I don't really need no validation or acknowledgement from the world that I'm this or that I'm that, but they still, you know, come up against us. They even come up against the false men of the Lord. You know, but even though some of the wayward camps are going off, most of the time they being on point. Like they'll say some on point ass shit. You know what I'm saying? That you can't even scoff up against. You know, now some of their doctrine is incorrect, but for the most part, you know, they be on point with certain shit. You know, it's not, but I don't sit there and watch them to squint my eyes trying to see if they're gonna go off this week or not. You know, they're not teaching the names and certain shit, so man, they going off, period. You know. Now, it says in verse 2, follow thine enemies, make a tumult, and they that hate thee. Now this is talking about how they hate the Lord. So if they hate the Lord, then they hate the Lord's people, and we represent the Lord's people. You know. But yeah, this cop has been chilling here, cuz he been chilling. Hey, he been chilling watching me. I guess he on his break or he bored. You know what I'm saying? I would turn the camera around, but I mean, you can just believe me, like nigga, he right there, like you know what I'm saying. But it is what it is. But it says they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, to and consulted against thy hidden ones. Okay, the hidden ones goes into the angels, because the angels are hidden. You don't just see angels just everywhere, but we do see them. As far as we see them and recognize that they are angels and that they are of the Lord. And when I say that, I'm talking about the chariots. So we do see angels. We're talking about the chariots um, of Israel ultimately. Those little small beams of light that you see floating around. Those are chariots, man. And it's all throughout the scriptures when it goes into the Lord's chariots, man. Real quick, while I'm speaking about the chariots, let me get a precept on the chariots real quick. Because the chariots are very important. They are going to be the instruments in which we are going to be delivered in, before the missiles touch down. So let me get that precept, but real quick. And it seems like it's not going to rain right now. It was just bluffing, I guess. Let me get a precept. Hold on. Oh, let me see. I had the precept I wanted, but then I realized that's not the precept I wanted. Ultimately, I got like two precepts in my head, but let me get this one. This is Psalms 65:15 real quick. Oh, he just pulled off. That's what's up. This is Isaiah 66:15. It says, "For behold, the Lord Yahawah will come with fire." Because this is Isaiah 66:15. It's going to a future prophecy, so this hasn't been fulfilled yet. At the end of the day, it says, "For behold, the Lord will come with fire, with his chariots like a whirlwind." When I'm talking about those chariots, I'm talking about like I say, the little orbs in the sky at night, or you can see them sometimes in the daytime. It just depends, but most of the time they're hidden. Like they can take the appearance of a cloud, or take the appearance of of whatever, because they're not from this world. It says, "For behold, the Lord will come with fire." So this is the future prophecy. The Lord is gonna come with fire. Okay, you got the nuclear fire that's gonna touch down and destroy this place, make this place desolate according to the scriptures. But the Lord is also coming with not nuclear fire, but chariot fire from the chariots. Okay, so that's gonna be shot and hit various places of the earth. Okay, but the only place that's gonna be made desolate and completely destroyed and never brought back is going to be America. Babylon the Great. All 50 states gonna be on fire. It's gonna be destroyed. Gonna be gone. But the rest of the earth that is destroyed or fucked up is going to be built back up. And it's going to be built back up by the heathen nations. Was that it on that precept? And then we go back to this Psalm 83. We can read the rest of this. This is Isaiah 66:16. It says, For by his sword, it says, "For by fire and for by his sword will the Lord Yahawah plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many." So the Lord is coming back to kill a lot of people, and that's also one of the things that we're also warning about. Yahawashi coming back But before Yahawashi comes back, everything that we see or that we know, the system that is at work, that is at play right now. You know, you going to the store, um, money, how money works right now, all that, all that's gonna be different because what's coming down the pike ultimately is that RFID chip technology, uh, led by these technocrats, if you know, that want to push forward these agendas. Ultimately, Esau Edom wants to chip you, and he wants to control your thoughts. He wants to control what you do. He wants to control where you're going. He wants to control your money, how much, you know, they're gonna give you programmable money. So if they don't want you to spend it on chicken that day, they buy some salmon, then they're gonna make the money not be able to buy what you want and make you buy this, you know, this option. Ultimately, they're doing this for, you know, ultimately your soul and for more control, you know, and because they're the devil, and because it's prophecy and it's what the Lord said they were going to do according to Revelation 13th chapter, you know, going to the beast and, you know, all that, and what he was going to do, his, you know, his mark. We got his image, but we also got his mark. Those are two different things through the spirit. His mark is the RFID chip technology that's going to be put in your left hand or your forehead, and we are sent out here to tell you to repent unto the Lord Yahawashi, so that you don't be given over to that temptation, because that's the hour of temptation is going to come upon, you know, all the Israelites, man, wherever they may be. You know, if you're going to take this chip or not, if you're going to bow down to Esau. Ultimately, the chip is in the spirit of an all. Now, all, Lord willing, I'm saying that word correctly, is something that you will put on the ear of an animal, and that I'm sure they still do to this day. If you have a cow or whatever, or a heifer or whatever, and you tag his ear, that's so, or whatever, or brand it or whatever, so that people, if it ran off or whatever and escaped, then people that can look at the brand and be like, oh, this is Timmy's cow down the road. It got Timmy's brand on it, or whatever the fuck, or it got Timmy's tag thing, you know, it's Timmy's cow. So you take this chip, then that means ultimately that you're saying that you belong to Esau. I'm Esau's property. I'm Esau's, yeah, you know, blah blah blah. But we're not of Esau, especially if you are an Israelite. You are 100% don't belong to Esau and at all. So, you know, you can't bow down unto Esau. But 2/3 wicked Israelites are going to, because they are not rooted and they are not being built up enough within these within the scriptures and within faith. You got to have faith. The scriptures speak about how important faith is. Scriptures speak about that. Faith is very important, very paramount. You know, you can know 100 scriptures, but you don't got no faith, then what the fuck? You know? Let me get precept on that. And then we'll go back to the Psalms 83. This is This is Hebrews 11:6. It says, my bad. Hebrews 11:6. It says, but without faith, it is impossible to please him. The him is Yahawashi. It says, for he that cometh unto the Most High, which is Yahawah, must believe that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. And then once you go down, this is Hebrews 11:7, which I'm not going to read, but I'm making a point. When you go down, it goes into the faith of our forefathers. It starts off with Noah, you know, it goes into Abraham, it goes into Jacob, it goes into, you know, it even goes into Sarah, you know, and the faith that they had before a time. And that's the same type of faith that we have to exhibit, you know. I think I brought out last week, like the faith of Daniel, man. But Daniel was in the lion's den. Daniel also went through the fire, bro. He went through the fire. He went through a purification process, through the, you know, on a level. And we got to do the same thing. So we got to keep in mind that the stuff that we go through, that the Lord has put us through, and you think about it, but man, I look back at that shit. I'm low key way stronger than I was. Like when you look back at like how you was in the beginning of the truth. Now you're like, damn. I I know way more scriptures. I'm way more on level. I know, I understand more. The Lord has slowly but surely guided you and has built you up. And I believe the Hebrew word for build is labanah. I believe. I just brought it out. It's in the prayer. But the Lord is labanah. I don't know how to say that past tense. But going to the Psalms 83, verse 2 again, it says, "For lo, thine enemies," we got enemies, "make a tumult, and they that hated thee have lifted up the head." You know what I'm saying? I'm going to jump down to verse 4. "They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation." And this is what the heathens have done collectively. As far as Esau, as far as Ishmael, as far as the Hamites, which are the main benefactors and not contributors, but the main nations that contributed, I'll say that, to us going into slavery. Now, slavery for us was prophetic. It was supposed to happen because we went the fuck off. But these nations and various other nations, they didn't. Once we came in over here and we were slaves and we was getting all fucked up, no one told us of our heritage. No one tried to, get us out of Esau's hands. No one tried to, what's the word? Protest. They do protesting. No one did anything. We were just commodity. We were just spirit. I look around. I gotta keep your head on a swivel sometimes. But we were just commodity. We were just what's the word? Property. And that, like I said before, the nations, the Moabite, the Chinese man, the Ammonite, the Japanese man, woman and man, they didn't hop out. They didn't hop out the cut, trying to get us and bring us back to Israel. And hey, you can't do that to those people. Those are the children of God. Those are the Israelites right there. You can't be doing that. You can't be enslaving them. You can't be doing all the matters of wickedness and atrocity, rape, robbery, murder that you're doing to these people. No one stepped out. No one came to our defense during that time. Nobody. Ultimately, in the script by Yahawashi, the Lord allowed the chattel slavery, as far as being under physical, literal chains, to play out to the point where now we have rights and things of that nature. But ultimately, these devils that did these atrocities and these wicked things unto us are still the same devils. They just hide if their horns. They hide if the sword. It's like, I'm gonna say this. It's like if you have a great warrior and he put away his sword, but at the time come to where he got to bring out the sword again, you think he forgot his moves? You think he don't know what to do no more? Nah, he's still that great warrior. He just put the sword back. Esau is that warrior. You know what I'm saying? And he is a great warrior because he's mighty, because the Lord has made him mighty. He's mighty in the sense versus us. Especially if we don't have Yahawashi. If you don't have Yahawashi, then it's like trying to go against Esau and his system and his military and everything that he got going on in these last days as being an Israelite with no Yahawashi. Boy, it's like fighting Mike Tyson. You finna lose, gang. You finna get destroyed. That's what it's like. So if you but when we have Yahawashi at our backside and we call upon the name of the Lord and we have faith, like I brought out, it's impossible to please him, but if we call upon the name, we got faith, then we have a fighting chance, man. We have a overwhelming chance that the Lord gonna have mercy on us, and we're gonna escape and also put to flight, which means to defeat our enemies that come up against us in these last days. You know what I'm saying? We just gotta be on a level and not afraid of the flesh and what the flesh got to offer. All right, because the scriptures speak about how the flesh is weak, man, but the spirit is willing. The spirit wants to do what it needs to do, but the flesh, it doesn't want to die. It gets hungry. It gets sick. You don't want to do nothing today because you don't feel like it. And I experience those things as well, and this is why we hasten as well to be free from the flesh and free from the body. which also can contain pain. You could be pain. You can be plagued with pain in the body, and things of that nature. But we do hasten to get out of the flesh as far as get delivered from these bodies. The scriptures speak about how we groan. We groan for a new flesh. A flesh where we're gonna be perfect. Ultimately. But for right now, here we are doing what we got to do. Man, goddamn bugs on my shit. Fuck off. I don't even know how they, they be crazy as hell, bro. Like, bugs can fly anywhere, but they want to fly on your shit. Right on your drink. Like, what the fuck? But it says here, reading on to verse 4, it says, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel will be no more. So this is going to how you are treated, how the nations, which is there's 18 nations, including Israel. So that means excluding Israel, there's 17 nations. So there's 17 nations outside of Israel that hate you. Now I'm not saying that everybody that you go into a store, everybody just say fuck you, you eat a dick, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's in the spirit, and shit, it is gonna come to that point where it's that blatant, because these damn devils are finna show their horns, man, and we're finna be blamed for shit not going right. You know what I'm saying? When shit get bad, blame so-called black and brown people. You know what I'm saying? Which are the Israelites, man. Blame the Israelites or whatever. But it says, read again, it says, come, let us cut them off from being a nation. So ultimately, reading that again, no one told us who we were, bro, and they tried to keep us in a perpetual state of darkness. Not knowing who we are, and going after and serving the heathens and whatever they are doing. Oh, the heathens worshiping this God. Jake, go worship that God. Keeping them further away from who they are and their power. Being aligned. I'm trying to think about what else they did. We're gonna keep reading though. But ultimately, yeah, man, not letting us know who we are, not letting us know that we're from the tribe of Israel, not letting us know, that our history is more broader and more diverse and rich than, oh yeah, we found y'all as slaves and we brought y'all over here and that's all it was. Nah, man, we got what happened during the Middle Ages, Dark Ages, and before that. The scriptures in and of itself is our history of the great things that we've done. But we got history going further back than chattel slavery and us getting genocided as far as the Native Americans, the Northern Kingdom goes. It goes further than that. The Taínos and things of that nature. It says, for they consulted with one consent, so they're all in agreement that these are the nation of Israel. These are the people that had us at some time in derision. Because during the time of King David, King Solomon, and various other times, in history, as far as our history, the Lord put these devils to flight, man. The Lord sent angels. The Lord burned these motherfuckers, man. The Lord went crazy. The Lord delivered them into our hands. We've killed kings. We've through Joshua, I do believe that we put our feet on the neck of kings, man. And we're gonna do that again in these times. Which I want to pull that precept if I could, man. God damn, this bug on some bullshit. Salaki, hold on, man. Goddamn bug on my shit. What the fuck? Trying to fuck my shit up. You don't know what the fuck they doing. Laying eggs on my shit or what? Only drink I got. We gonna do that like that right there. Now, reading on, or I guess we were trying to get a precept. What I was trying to do. Oh yeah, okay. It's a lot. I'm trying to. I'm not finding a preset. I'll probably put it in post production. You know, but there was a going into history, our history where, you know, I want to say it's during the time of Joshua, where if the Israelites were warned, I believe, with various nations as they were clearing out the promised land and things of that nature, and we destroyed certain kings. And at one point, Joshua told the children of Israel, or whatever, I'm roughly paraphrasing, to come and put their feet on the neck of the kings, which ultimately, you know, we can symbolize in today's times is that Joshua was one of the men of the Lord. So ultimately, to defeat our enemies, to have a chance to do that, you know, put our feet on the neck of our enemies, is going to be via Yahawah Bashim Yahawashi. See, we have to understand that Yahawashi was the one that put us into captivity. See, he was the one that delivered us up to our enemies, unto the archers, unto those that were going to shoot at us and destroy us. You understand? But he's also going to be the same one that's going to put the spirit on us to raise up and to put our enemies to flight, and we're going to be defended. The same one that destroyed us, or, you know, that brought up our enemies to destroy us, you know, with hatred, you know, because we was going off, we was doing, you know, all matter of type of wickedness. It's going to be the same ones that's going to be the one that's going to deliver us and heal us. It speaks about this, and I want to say, what's the word? I want to say that's Hosea 6:1. It is Hosea. Verse 5. They have consulted together with one consent, and they are confederate against thee. So these nations are together in the form of keeping us down. Right? You know what I'm saying? They all come up together and try to keep the Israelites from rising up, man. You know, to keep Jake in a perpetual state of darkness, to keep them just being niggas, keep them, you know, being destroyed. I just found out, which just came back to my memory, how Esau Edom has allowed lead poisoning, and lead in and of itself, like lead, to be in the waters from, I forget the time periods, but I'm sure it's even. I'm going to have to do a video on it. I was supposed to do a video. That's probably what I'm going to have to do a video on. But they allowed lead poisoning and lead to be within these low-income urban area communities, mostly ultimately where Jake was. And what lead does is it causes you to be more aggressive. It causes lower IQ. And basically, it causes a whole bunch of bad stuff. Now I'm just roughly paraphrasing the information that I heard. But this is what Esau has done, and way more atrocities than that. As far as trying to keep us at a level to where they can continue to keep their foot on our neck. See, but the Lord is finna reverse that, and we're finna be redeemed. But we're being redeemed, and power and wisdom and understand. All that starts with having fear of the Lord Yahawashi. It starts with Yahawashi first. Okay, once we tap into Yahawashi first, our enemies are gonna fall. If you want women, they gonna come. You know what I'm saying? You want land, well, it's gonna be yours, because we finna put to death the people that own it. You know what I'm saying? Because it don't belong to them anyway. See, this earth and everything that encompasses it, universe, or whatever you want to say, belongs unto Yahweh Bashim Yahawashi. All right, and we're joint heirs with Yahweh Bashim Yahawashi according to the scriptures. Now, verse 6, it starts to name the our enemies. It doesn't got all the nations here, but it has, the ones that we need to pay attention to. It says Edom. It says it says Edom. And this is going to our enemies, Psalms 83. And the first people that they list that we need to pay attention to, that we need to watch, is the tabernacles of Edom. These devils, man, these so-called white men, women, and children, that you must, I don't know what the fuck. You gotta watch them. You gotta watch them. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying you can't deal with a little Becky here and there, but man, shit, man, fuck these hoes, man. I ain't lying. How that nigga run like a faggot. But how I deal is, man, you gotta understand that all these bitches is temporary, and all these bitches is going. They going. When a nigga that got money or so-called substance step into the room, they going. Nigga, they just gonna go. Ain't nothing sacred. Your bitch ain't your bitch. It's just your turn. So, nigga, you wanna deal with Becky? Man, deal with Becky. Get what you gotta get and bounce on her dumb ass. You wanna deal with Keisha? Man, deal with Keisha. Get what you gotta get. As soon as it start getting sour, and she not going to according to your program that you need, because you're supposed to be teaching this word. You're supposed to be, making your body a living sacrifice. You don't got time for one-time women and undisciplined women to hinder your walk and make things harder for you. Because check this out, we got enemies. We got enemies and shit. Even our women are our enemy. So you sleeping with the enemy. You dealing with the enemy every day. You see him, and shit, make a bitch mad. You gonna find out real quick that she your enemy. You know what I'm saying? Or she don't even got